I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. Let the record show that all members of the City Council are present this evening. A copy of the Open Meetings Act is posted in the meeting room and is accessible to members of the public at any time during the course of the meeting. First item on the agenda is the consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests. First is item A, approve agenda as submitted. B, receive and place on file all notices pertaining to this meeting. C, receive and place on file all materials having any bearing on this meeting. D, approval of minutes of regular meeting on September 19th, 2022, as on file in the City Clerk's office. E, approval of minutes of special meeting on September 30th, 2022, as on file in the City Clerk's office. F, refer claim of Dwayne Rue regarding damages to his personal property to the City Attorney and the City Insurance Carrier for review and disposition. G, resolution number 6938, granting permission to the Beatrice Area Chamber of Commerce and Gage County Tourism and their designees to sell or offer for sale or peddle goods, wares, or merchandise upon the city property located in Charles Park, the Carnegie Building, the public parking lot just south of the Carnegie Building, and on 5th Street between High Street and the east-west alley between Ella Street and High Street as part of their holiday lighted parade event on December 3rd, 2022. Any item that any council member wants removed from the consent agenda? Mr. McLean.
I move that the items listed under the consent agenda be approved, accepted, and/or ratified as presented.
Second.
Moved by McLean, seconded by Morgan, that all items listed under the consent agenda be approved, accepted, and/or ratified. Your vote, please. And that is approved 8-0. We have no public hearings. Next is a resolution number 6939, executing the loan agreement, promissory note, personal guarantee, deed of trust, and any other necessary documents between the city and DRS Properties and Investments, LLC, and Robert Taylor for a direct loan in the amount of $10,000 as part of the Downtown Revitalization Program and CDBG Grant 21 DTR 004.
I move that resolution number 6939 be passed and adopted.
Second.
Moved by McLean, seconded by Morgan, that resolution 6939 be passed and adopted. Tobias?
I believe this is our last DTR grant to bring back for you to review. Just like all the other ones, it's a promissory note, deed of trust. As long as he keeps the improvements for 5 years, all those things become forgiven. In this particular case, we're looking at the properties that are south of Cabo Bar. For those who are familiar, we're looking at like 117 South 5th, 123 South 5th, that area where we're looking to make these improvements. The improvements in this case are more going to be in regards to some of the outside, removing some of the siding and replacing that on those buildings there. Some additional work, depending on how the bids come in, might be an HVAC system, but most likely going to be the siding based upon the size of the grant in this particular case. Any other questions anybody has on this particular project?
Is there a business in there now?
Yes, one of the properties has got the Beatrice Nutrition store in it. The other one I don't think is occupied, but I don't know that for certain.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions, gentlemen, from the audience? All right, your vote, please. That is approved 8-0. Resolution number 6939 has been passed and adopted. Next is Resolution 6940, executing the Rural Economic Development Loan Agreement between the city, the Beatrice Community Hospital and Health Center in the amount of $360,000 for the purchase of a Mindray telemetry monitor as recommended by the Board of Public Works.
I move that resolution number 6940 be passed and adopted.
Second.
Moved by McLean, seconded by Bilsbach, that resolution 6940 be passed and adopted. I beg your pardon, 6940 be passed and adopted.
So the USDA has a grant out there, Rural Economic Development Loan Agreement, often referred to as Red Leg. The city has made an application to that. We're eligible through the Board of Public Works and the Electric Department in particular. As part of this grant, the USDA will give us $300,000. The Electric Department matches with $60,000. We then loan those funds, in this case, to Beatrice Community Hospital. They use it to buy qualifying equipment. And as you see there, it's the mind rate tomography monitors, whatever those are. They're going to purchase those.
Make sure your heart's pumping. That's what it is.
And then when BCH reimburses or repays that loan back to the city of Beatrice, we then have another revolving loan fund that we can use for economic development purposes moving forward. Previously, we have approved a loan committee to overview those funds. We've approved what the rules are for those types of funds. Beatrice Community Hospital, this loan's for up to 10 years. They'll make quarterly payments. They can repay it after 366 days. And so we will work on getting those funds back in and having a revolving loan fund moving forward. So it's been a good partnership with BCH.
Ted?
So I didn't understand what the monitors were. I'm glad that I wasn't the only one there. So they are equipment for the hospital
Correct.
itself
Correct.
that they're going to use. So, all right. So the money that's paid back, is it the entire, and as I read through it, I just didn't, maybe I'm not quite up to speed on it. So is it the entire $360,000 that they can pay back over the 10 years?
Yes.
It'll be, it's not, the 60,000 that the electric department, the BBW puts in, that doesn't just go away and stay.
No.
It all comes back.
It all comes back. All $360,000 will come back into that loan fund to be reloaned for other economic development purposes.
Okay, so once that's there, we set all the parameters for that?
The USDA had some guidelines that are out there that we had to adopt. They're very similar to what our LB 840 ones are. I mean, there's a few differences, but they're pretty minute.
Okay, so will that fund stay at $360,000 if we have something that comes that is a larger project, or are we able to add funds to that?
So one, you can charge interest and
Okay.
have it billed with interest being paid into the account. But two, you are eligible to go out and apply for additional USDA Red Lake grants to put money into that pot over time.
Okay.
So it'd be something we could look at in the future.
Okay, all right. Answered all my questions, thank you.
And I'll ask again.
Rich, I'm sorry, hang on just a moment. Rich?
Toby, when we get that 360 back, 300 will go into the revolving fund and the 60 will go back into the electric.
All $360,000 will go into the revolving loan fund.
Okay.
When the city decides they're done with the revolving loan fund, 60 will go back into the electric department, and what's remaining will go back to USDA.
I usually don't bother.
Rick?
I'd asked Tobias this earlier, but what committee will review this and recommend to the city again? So I know I'd had people that had called me on this one.
So there's a separate committee that will oversee it. The last time we took up the appointments, we appointed the exact same people that are on our LB 840 loan committee, so our CARC committee. But again, they won't have any funds for 366 days at a minimum. So that committee may change, just depending on who's on the makeup of that board. But that's who we appointed the first time, was that way the same people review all of our loans.
Any other questions? Gentlemen, anyone from the audience? All right, your vote, please. And that is approved 8-0. Resolution 6940 has been passed and adopted. Next is resolution number 6941, executing the letter of agreement for professional services between the city and Olson Incorporated to develop a master plan for possible improvements to the Court Street corridor.
I move that resolution number 6941 be passed and adopted.
Second.
Moved by McLean, seconded by Kerr, that resolution 6941 be passed and adopted.
So we've had a lot of talk about the possibility of moving the highway one block to the south to Market Street. As everybody remembers, that initially came out, I think, in 2014 with a study by RDG on a downtown revitalization plan. City kind of furthered that a year or two later with Olson's looking at the feasibility of actually moving the highway. It's kind of come back up through some discussions. And one of those things we keep hearing from the public is, well, what about Court Street? And so this study would hire Olson's to do two things for us. One would be to update the cost estimate of actually moving the highway one block to the south. Again, the numbers we have are about a decade old, and so to get those updated to see what kind of number we're looking at. Two is to hold some public hearings and get inputs from the community as to what improvements they would like to see made on Court Street if the highway removed. So it'll be set up very similar to what we've done on the Lincoln Street corridor system, where we have 2 public hearings, get an opportunity to get input from the public, give them some ideas, get some feedback from them, kind of see where people would like things to move going forward, and then ultimately bring them back to this body for review. Talking to Olson's, we probably will not look at having any of the public meetings till after the holiday season. Trying to get people to come into a public hearing during Thanksgiving or Christmas time period might be counterproductive, and so we'll probably wait till after the holiday season to kind of have some of those meetings get started. But otherwise, they're kind of looking to get things wrapped up here in July of next year is what they're hoping for.
You may have mentioned it, but the cost of the study is $33,000.
I think it's $37,000.
Questions, gentlemen?
I'll just make a comment, Stan. I've
Yes, sir.
heard quite a bit of positive feedback from the people who have caught wind of the idea, and it's really a big deal. There's a lot of people who are happy to see us doing something downtown and trying to make that improvement going forward for the vitalization of the city of Beatrice.
Thanks, Tim. Anyone else? Anyone from the audience? All right, your vote, please. And that is approved 8-0. Resolution 6941 has been passed and adopted. Next is Resolution 6942, entering into a public-private partnership agreement with Pinpoint Communications Incorporated to construct a Pinpoint all-fiber network to all businesses and residential properties in Beatrice.
I move the resolution number 6942 be passed and adopted.
Second.
Moved by McLean, seconded by Billsbach, that Resolution 6942 be passed and adopted. Tobias?
This is another one of those projects we've been working on for a number of years, trying to find a solution to, and that is getting fiber throughout the community. There's quite a bit of fiber in town, however, it's not available to everybody, and so we're trying to find a way or a partner that we can work with to bring fiber to every house and business in the community. And so what we have before you tonight is a public-private partnership with Pinpoint. What they would do is they would do just that. They would bring a network of fiber, all fiber, throughout the community. We're working on exactly how that would be laid out in the community. Looking to start sometime in the spring is when construction would look to start. In addition to that, they would also help the city solve one of our other issues we've had, and that's how to get fiber to our own buildings. We have a number of buildings in the community that are not always able to communicate with each other because there's not internet access between them, so they'd help us address that issue as well. So this is just the first step of many as we kind of keep this project moving forward.
Questions? Mr. Bernard?
Is it, my understanding, this has been going on longer than I've been here, so we've exhausted all the other companies and they've not shown interest. Is that a correct statement?
We have talked to a number of companies, and for one reason or another, just they just haven't moved forward. Pinpoint approached us and with the interest of building out here in the community. They're from Cambridge, Nebraska, have also do work in McCook and Auburn and Syracuse and Nebraska City and a number of those other communities. And so we've been able to put something together for them.
You've also had presence in Chicago, in Denver, so bigger cities as well as smaller communities. And it doesn't cost us anything.
I think
That's the good
That's
part.
better yet, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think the first time that we took a run at this, it was in Schuster's first term. And we had a couple of different times, Gary, that we had contacted companies and offered to pay them to come do this. And we still, so you're at this point where they're doing it and we don't have to pay them anything. So it's a win-win. It's been a long time.
Any other comments or questions from the council? From the audience? Come on up.
Just real quick on that, one of the things that I've had a couple people ask me when they read this is, will they be providing internet service in competition with the other companies we have here, or are they just providing the fiber optics for internet?
They will provide internet service as well.
Okay, thank you, that's all
Very
I needed.
competitive, what's already available, except this will be higher speed.
Okay, that's all I need, thank you.
But the choice
Anyone
will be
else?
up- The choice will be up to the homeowners or the businesses. Take it. Sure.
Absolutely. Anyone else from the audience? All right, gentlemen, your vote, please. And that is approved 8-0. Resolution 6942 has been passed and adopted. Next is an ordinance establishing salaries and compensation for various city and Board of Public Works union employees.
I move that said ordinance be given number 22-35, the title thereof be approved, the rules be suspended, and said ordinance be read by number only 3 times tonight.
Second.
Moved by McLean, seconded by Freeland, that the ordinance be given number 22-35, the title thereof approved, the rules suspended, and the ordinance be read by number only 3 times tonight. A motion to suspend the rules is not debatable. Your vote, please. And that is approved 8-0. Ordinance number 22-35 by number the first time, ordinance 22-35 by number the second time, and ordinance number 22-35 by number the third and final time.
I move that ordinance number 22-35 be passed and approved.
Second.
By McLean, seconded by Freeland, that ordinance 22-35 be passed and approved.
So state statute requires that we pass a salary ordinance once a year. So that's what we're doing here tonight. What we do is basically we've listed all of the different job descriptions that we have in the city that are covered by union contracts. As everybody remembers, we have 3 different unions here in the city of Beatrice. We have the fire department, we have the FOP, and you have the IBEW. We signed those contracts about a year ago. IBEW signed a 6-year contract that calls for a 4% increase in wages this year. The FOP signed a 3-year contract that calls for a 4% increase this year. And the fire department signed a 6-year contract calling for a 3% increase this year. So that's what you see reflected in your salary ordinance.
Questions? Comments from the audience? And your vote, please. That is approved 8-0. Ordinance number 22-35 has been passed and approved. Next is an ordinance establishing the salaries and compensation for various city and Board of Public Works non-union employees.
I move that said ordinance be given number 22-36, the title thereof be approved, the rules be suspended, and said ordinance be read by number only 3 times tonight.
Second.
Moved by McLean, seconded by Freeland, that the said ordinance be given number 22-35, the title thereof approved, the rules suspended, and the ordinance be read by number only 3 times tonight. Motion to suspend the rules is not debatable. Your vote, please, and that is approved 8-0. Ordinance number 22-36 by number the first time, ordinance number 22-36 by number the second time, and ordinance number 22-36 by number the third and final time.
I move that ordinance number 22-36 be passed and approved.
Second.
Moved by McLean, seconded by Freeland, that ordinance number 22-35 be passed and approved.
Similar to the last one, but this is a salary ordinance for non-union employees. Non-union employees at the city are largely department heads, MARS employees, police captain, police lieutenant, fire captains. There's a few of those out there, but that's generally who's covered by this particular salary ordinance. It also calls for a 4% increase in wages this year.
Questions? Comments from the audience? And your vote, please. And that is approved 8-0. Ordinance number 22-36 has been passed and adopted. Next is the public forum. Purpose of the public forum is for the presentation of an item by the general public to the city council for consideration at a later date. No discussion or action will be taken by the council at this time. Is there anyone here for the public forum? Come on up, even though we know you, Dwayne. State your name and address, please.
Thank you. Dwayne Rue, 1200 Park Street here in Beatrice. Thank you, gentlemen. Got the item here, what had happened to my parents' home here. If you don't have pictures, and it should have been in your packet. If you don't have it, I have extras here to show you. Basically, a while back here, had to go, went in, checked my folks' place, and the basement was flooded with sewage. And I had to get a company in there, Service Master in there, to do some cleaning and things. I talked to Cheryl Worth, my insurance agent, and she told me that because it wasn't a backup, it was something that actually blew back, that it was a city's responsibility. I went and spoke with Tobias, and he told me that it was not the city's responsibility. So there I'm in a quandary here. Problem is that as you could have seen by the pictures and by the letter from Kevin Reitzman, This was not a sewage backup. There was sewage way deep in the shower. There was sewage blown clear out of the stool, clear across the basement. And it's, you know, it was a mess. I had to tear out flooring, drywall, carpet, had to tear the shower out because they couldn't clean it. Had to take 2 cabinets out. The stool lid, of course, is down. One of the cabinets has a sink in it. My mom insisted that she went down there. Now, my mom and dad are 92 and 94 years old, so I had to help them out. And they were both having headaches at the time. Mom wanted to go down and take a look at this. So I helped her down the stairs. And I tell you what, I never seen my mom cry so much in her life. I mean, it was a total mess. And she's just like, how in the heck are we going to pay for this and stuff? And I told her that's not her problem. I own the house. I had to pay Service Master $1,000 before they would even come in and start cleaning. Now, it was not a sewage backup. My parents take a bath once a week. They maybe wash 4 dishes a day. They do not cook at home. They have meals delivered. And when they do eat, you know, I either bring them in or they fix microwave dinners and things. This was, you know, this problem was definitely, you know, a service, you know, there had to be something that caused this problem with this much sewage to blow out of the stool in the shower. This was not a plug out. So, you know, this is why I know that coming to it is basically I hope that the, you know, that the insurance company, the city insurance company really looks at this carefully. But there's a problem there. I talked to some of the neighbors, you know, and they didn't have major deal, but a couple of them said, yeah, we had some stuff come up, you know, just out of the floor drain and stuff, nothing major. But, you know, this is, you know, I'm sorry, but, you know, there was something that happened here. And I've talked to other people and they've talked about different things like this. Now, I thought maybe it was, you know, that they were cleaning the sewers around that time or something that happened like that. Tobias checked on it for me. He said, no, they weren't there. That wasn't it. But something had to happen. To see, if you look at those pictures and see how much stuff was blown clear across the room, and that shower had to, like I say, it had to be torn out. Now, I don't have estimates for the vinyl flooring, the carpeting, the drywall, replacing the shower, the cabinets, you know, sink like that. All that's been torn out. So I don't have those to, you know, keep presenting to him, you know, here right now. One of the things I'm just trying to find out is if the city is going to pay for it. So anyway, I just really think that I really just like to know what happened. It was not within the house. Both the company service master said no, that couldn't have been. Wrightsman come out, sewer was draining fine. I asked him to run, you know, his thing through it just to check it. No problem. But if you look at those pictures and see how much sewage, sewage was in that shower, they couldn't even clean it out. So I just want to say that there's something going on there. I know the odds of the city, you know, paying for it are slim to none, but I think something should be looked at here. Thank you.
Thanks, Dwayne. Anyone else? All right. We have no discussion or reports. Next regular scheduled meeting is going to be on October 17th in these chambers and may or may not have a work session on the 24th, depending upon what comes up. Mr. McLean.
I move the meeting be adjourned at 7:24 p.m.
Second.
Moved by McLean, seconded by Billsbach, that the meeting be adjourned at 7:24 p.m. Your vote, please. That is approved, 8-0. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, everyone.